then offensively a little bit more. There's still like a good amount of set plays and things like that, but also like a little bit more of a open like motion type offense that we have as a base.
Did you know much about him before he got the draft?
I mean, I knew some about him just as a basketball fan in general, but not much more than I say the casual fan until we learned that he was being our coach.
Luke, in terms of your game this year, what's maybe one area you want to see yourself in and take a big step forward?
I would say probably just being a better playmaker just in terms of out of the post and on the drive and things like that. Being someone that you kind of go through offensively and just continue growth on the defensive end.
Do you like to see yourself in the post more this year, maybe in the system as we practice?
Definitely. I'll see a lot more time, especially I think back with Damian, like it's a lot easier to play complementary to him and be over him inside, but definitely now it's a little bit on the wall to actually establish myself inside and our defense.
How would you describe the changes? I know you were just talking about a little bit the difference in the basketball last year versus this year.
I would say just in terms of like how we play, just offensively having a lot more of like a base, going to motion as opposed to like going to more of like a type of sets, like direct cuts type thing. Even though we definitely know what we're doing within the motion, and defensively being a lot more technical, just on anything from closeouts, like making sure certain tell spots of what we're trying to accomplish on defense.
So not dramatically different.
We're still playing basketball at the same time, but I like in terms of like our practices and stuff, and just I think methods and going about things is definitely different. I think with our team, the way we are, having a lot of shooters who are capable, it kind of benefits to having an open kind of like free offense where not everyone's necessarily set somewhere, but everyone can just make plays and trust that the person they're going to pass to being able to make the shot and make the next play. So I'd say that's a little bit more of a influence.
How tough is it when you have a coaching change when you're in college, when you go from one coach to another, especially in a situation like this, where Coach Stone sort of left kind of late in the process and you have a new guy come in?
Yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily it's that difficult, but just it's a lot of different things that you've gotten accustomed to that you have to get used to. I mean, especially as we move into the season and more games, just like a lot of little routine type things that aren't necessarily the same as they were before, and more adjusted to that side of things. Whereas in basketball, it's just slightly different. Like learning their tendencies on what they're looking for. But at the end of the day, you're still playing basketball.
How familiar were you with Coach Drew when he arrived? Did you know anything about his history, whether it be at Valpo or whether it be the shot in the tournament or anything like that?
I've seen like the shot before, and I knew, of his career, and especially the growth of Valpo. But I mean, mostly I didn't know much more than just kind of like a good understanding as a regular basketball fan.
He was seeming to think the players didn't know about the shot, or that y'all knew about it or had seen it before. And
I'm sure everyone didn't, but a lot of us like have been familiar with them, and it's a pretty big moment in college basketball. So.
Isn't that in the commercials?
It's in a lot of the ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously you would remember when it happened. Is that the first time you saw it, or?
I'd seen it just like in NCAA tournament coverage, and then it's more of like a realization, like, oh yeah, that's like really him. Things like that. That's a little bit different. So.
But you've never talked with him about it.
We're more focused on basketball and getting better as a team.
Is he always the same in practice? I mean, obviously, probably seems like a pretty mellow guy. I mean, does he get intense in practice?
He's definitely intense. It's just like, I mean, pretty much every coach, you're going to be focused and hardworking and very competitive. And I don't think a lot of them make it to that job without being someone who's very competitive. So I think it's not as much like the types of coaches that are like yelling very loud or bashfully, but like he's definitely intense and focused, and you have to be paying attention and ready to go, or else it's not acceptable to not be.
Luke, you led the SEC in block shots last year. Do you have any kind of goal this year to, like another 100 or?
I don't try to set any records in terms of numbers. I'm trying to become a better defender, and honestly, that means getting no blocks and just like playing more standard defense. But I'm still definitely trying to be a rim protector, and I think that's a part of my game that's important. But I'm not setting any type of like statistical.
What do you like doing more, blocking shots or hitting threes?
I definitely enjoy blocking shots. It's a good thing when you can get a block and like send it to a teammate where you can go right into a transition and then someone else ends up hitting a three or even occasionally you could. So I would say definitely like defensive end just because it translates into offense is pretty cool.
Coach said that some of the health issues you went through last year were like a silver lining because he gets the coaching now instead of you having maybe gone off for like a day or something. Are you kind of happy you went through that, or any positives out of that?
I mean, I definitely would have rather not had to deal with those injuries. I think I definitely was able to learn through it a little bit and grow through it in terms of just like mental toughness and working back and do that thing. I guess in terms of looking back, like there could have been a chance or more likely chance to be left us here, but I mean, realistically, I've been here for 4 years and they get a degree. And I'd rather have not had the injuries, especially just in terms of being able to work and I'd be able to train more during those times when I'm out. But I mean, I can't really do anything about it. Once the second happens, there's nothing you can do but make the most of the situation there, which I think is kind of the biggest thing that I learned is not to like smoke or anything like that. But
Like, do you see the freshman guys so far?
I mean, yeah. So we got Peyton and Cleveland as our freshmen, also already transferred in. But I mean, Peyton is a very just good, steady basketball player. He's a guy you trust him to be. It's said a lot, but like to really just be a basketball player and make smart plays, and then he's got a good feel for the game. And then Cleveland with his athleticism, especially vertically. I mean, it's always a transition when you're coming in, especially being a new grad in high school, college. But he's working hard. He can also really shoot the ball with you can shoot on the vert or shoot threes, and then also elevate on the vert and dunk on them. It's a great combination of skills to have.
Luke, you're in your senior year now. I think you may have a shot at going to the NBA. Is that something you would be interested in doing after college?
Yeah, I definitely hope to play at the NBA. And I mean, right now, that like really matters just in terms of I just want to make our team as good as we possibly can, and I think that'll come when it comes. But none of it ever happens if you don't fully devote yourself to basketball. And I think the only people who are really committed to getting better and making your team the best you can.
Your dad played in the NBA several years. Has he given you any advice on going that direction? If that's something you aspire to?
My dad played professional. I'm definitely planning to play professional basketball for a while, which, I mean, that's, like, he doesn't tend to talk too much about it. He's more of like a humble guy. He'd rather not talk about it, I would say. But, I mean, I think if I were to go out and ask advice for it, he would give it to me. But I mean, until the time comes, he's not. I mean, he's just wanting to focus on like this season just as much as I am and having a good season here.
Your dad told me he didn't want to be like that dad that was trying to be another coach. What effect has that had on you that he's just kind of a cheerleader in that type?
Yeah, I mean, I had him as a coach in high school and was definitely a coach then. But I think it's awesome the way that he did that and handled that because I mean I know a lot of parents who like who can be like coach for him and be like overbearing on him. And I think just the type of person outside of basketball who really understands basketball, but at the same time isn't trying to push me as a thing. I think just in terms of like general, maybe like mental health or just like in terms of having a good perception of life, I would say it's been really good to not make like my family life and everything like that just completely directly tied to basketball. It's really helped me.
Your mom ever give you pointers of posture and those and enunciate and those type of things?
I mean, I guess so, but that was more just growing up and like things like that, just speaking well and I don't know, just being courteous and stuff like that. Like my parents definitely did a good job in terms of that, but she's not like trying to breed me into being like the next newscaster or anything like that.
It seems like with those two parents, you would see how somebody would be overbearing of trying to critique. Here's how you are in the media, and this is how you need to play, and all that. Do you think that's helped you be more down to earth, and that they don't browbeat you all the time about those things?
Yeah, I would say so. I really admire my parents, and especially just the fact that like taking a step back and looking at them, like they've done some very impressive things in their life, and it's awesome. But like, I mean, if you were to me at least, like if you were to just go and talk to them, you wouldn't expect like that to be anything. Like they really understand that like the value in themselves as individuals is a lot more about the quality that they are as people than like what position they may have. And so I think just that lesson is something I've definitely learned from them, and you kind of just have the ability to admire them from a distance and like what all that they're capable of doing while still retaining that humility.
Was your dad? Did he coach you? Was he head coach during high school or?
Yeah, my sophomore, junior, and senior year, really just my junior and senior year, is a head coach at the Christian where I played.
Okay.
When you were a senior in high school and you shot up like 6 or 7 inches in a year, what did your dad think of that? What was he saying to you? And you like every couple of days you're another inch taller.
I think it was more progressive because he's just at home with me, and like you definitely start noticing that I've gotten a lot taller. More with other family members, like they haven't seen me in a while, and all of a sudden I'm taller than my uncle or something like that. It's definitely more noticeable. But he was just. It wasn't much different. He always thought that I had a chance to be like a pretty good basketball player, and it was just a time for me to grow. And so he'd always told me that I'm probably going to end up growing a lot, and it just took a little longer than everyone else.
Did he ever tell you he wished he would have had a few more of those inches when he was in the NBA?
Yeah, that's come up before. Just I don't know. He talks about how he's relatively short, or like kind of not short, but like definitely. But
You call him Shorty.
there was a couple times I could just step out to him and look down on him a little bit. Yeah.
We know Matt as a shooter from the past couple of years, and I know Coach Drew wants to turn him into more of a driver, a slasher. Have you seen anything in practice that says, yeah, Matt can do that, he can get to the rim?
He's had a couple moments so far in practice, definitely where you can see him being able to attack the goal and working on just finishing around the goal. And especially one thing about Matt is he's really a gifted athlete just in terms of his speed and also his jumping ability. And there's been a couple of times where he'll drive by someone and be able to jump up and elevate and finish and stuff like that. Even as like a shot blocker, there's certain things about like his athleticism. So I think it's really just kind of incorporating that athleticism into his game, which he has the capacity of doing. And I think he's done a pretty good job of just working every single day, finishing around the goal and the ball handling, which I've just seen him in the gym and working on that.
So we could see the same number of threes for him, but more dunks? Is that what we're going to see?
Yeah, hopefully. He's definitely still a knocked out shooter, but he's worked hard to grow his game in other areas as well.
He seems like a guy that he does not flashy, but he goes up to that shape and a lot of great things for you guys. I feel like he's going to go you guys, especially where he's able to get
Yeah, Jeff's a great player, and I think even this past summer he put in a ton of work with working on ball handling and kind of being a more versatile scorer. It's kind of seemed that he's gotten less appreciation a lot of He's a phenomenal player. Just the toughness and physicality he brings in terms of being he's a knockdown shooter, and the fact that he finishes around the goal so well with contact. He makes him one of the most important members of our team.
I like that glue guy, the guy that kind of holds everything together. Where that came from.
Yeah, and he's just someone that I think in terms of like glue guy, it kind of has it's a positive connotation, but like slightly negative, just in terms of like underappreciated. But he's one of the core members of our team, going to be one of the leading scorers, and he's been that for years. So it's really just like I think he's getting the label glue guy for being consistently a very good player. Yeah.
I know your mom's excited about the season. Seems like everything. I see her on Twitter all the time. She's just retweeting everything we put out.
Especially this being the last year where
Maybe boys last year.
Definitely, yeah.
Did she go here?
She did. She didn't end up graduating from here. She had moved before, but she spent 2 years here, I think. So she's.
When your dad was here?
Yeah.
You've probably answered this already, but how aware are you of the shot he hit at Valpo to beat Ole Miss, and have you ever kidded him about that or anything?
I was aware of the shot. It's kind of different when it's more of like something that you see every single year during the tournament versus him actually being there. But it's definitely been something that I was familiar with beforehand.
Does he ever shoot around with y'all now? Is he still pretty good at shooting?
He hasn't done it too much, but for some rebounding drills, he'd shoot for misses, and he'll never accidentally make one or brick one really bad. It's always a perfect miss, which might be a better, show of a true shooter. Yeah, you definitely tell the quality of a shooter by how well they can miss on purpose.
Did he play for the Mavs for a while or not?
I think he played for the Bulls.
Bulls.
Maybe the.
Look, there's been several incidents over history of teams losing their best players and then the next season winning championships with more teamwork.
Yeah.
Do you think that's possible, that this team could be better at losing some of the good players they had last year, looking ahead?
Every single year, even with the same players, can be radically different. And I think, Damian and Wade were very important and great members of our team, but I think we won't have enough pieces to be able to make a great year. And you get that whole year of growth of like all the people, just freshmen, getting used to college basketball, and some new freshmen coming in, and then some of us older guys, try to fine tune some things. So I think it definitely opens us up for the ability to show our expanded games and just develop that whole new team chemistry that's different from year to year.
How does practice feel different under Bryce than under Kevin?
I would say there's a lot of little things, just like the pace from moving from drill to drill, and like always having to be right on top of everything and keeping your voice active and staying bonded as a team. I think beforehand, we playing a lot of 5-on-5 and just like working on competing against each other, whereas the importance of staying together and being vocal throughout all of practice and being intense throughout practice. And those are like the very like what you think are small things, but very important and big factors in terms of the quality of the team that we've been working on.
Matthew said there's a certain old school quality to Bryce. What does that mean to you? How would you agree with that?
I would say yes. It's kind of something in most coaches that I know of, where it's just, I would say just like the discipline and attention to detail that
Shirts tucked in.
Yeah, like little things like shirts being tucked in, how you behave in front of like certain audiences and things like that. Just being very disciplined and focused on all the little things of life, which I think most highly successful people, they have some sort of kind of like those morals or values instilled in them to like always be disciplined and never sacrifice for it regardless.
Have you talked at all with your dad about any comparisons between Bryce and CM in that area?
Not really. I think my dad's had a good experience with coaches, but definitely my dad always talks about CM being kind of like the gentleman of college basketball, I think it was, and just the quality of character that CM had and never compromising what he believed in, regardless of what kind of like everyone else may be doing, which I definitely understand from Coach Drew. Just, my dad talks about like CM never using language, and it's the same thing with Coach Drew, so I guess like that could be a very similar thing. And I think just that discipline in terms of being disciplined on the court and what you do, and also as you do, like as an individual and a person, morally, would be like a good tie between the two.
Thanks, Luke.
How's Cameron's shot coming in practice?
Cam is about as automatic as they come. We shoot like 50 free throws just about every day, and I think the highest, or make 50 free throws, I think the highest Cameron's got is 52, and that's
52 in a row.
Rare off day for him, or 50 out of 52. Like
how about 3 points?
Yeah, when he gets the ball in space, like you're confident, and his stroke is so pure and automatic and repeatable that you trust him when it comes to him getting an open shot.
How about Riley? Is he progressing?
Yeah, Riley's also been shooting the ball well, and just working on handling the ball and finding people as well. But I think he's just as great a shooter as he ever was, and a better one. And just like quickening the release and things like he's been working on.
Well, thanks a lot, Luke. We appreciate it. Good luck.